Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends. This is Friday, April the 28th. And I've got one of the most interesting guys you will meet anywhere, Dr. David Newman. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
RoseHeart Hypnotherapy Success Center. And whenever David is on, he says, just pick a topic. You know, I can talk about anything you want to talk about. So today I picked anxiety, irritation, and frustration. They all go hand in hand.
Especially if you're an MU student.
Anxiety, irritation, and frustration.
Yeah.
So how can we reduce those three?
Well, let's first look at this thing a little bit differently, okay? Because those three things almost all of us go through. But there could be a real physical reason why you're going through it. And that reason is called hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. And that's where your blood sugar goes up and down like a yo-yo. Each one of those is actually a symptom of hypoglycemia. So what's a quick way to tell if I have hypoglycemia, since doctors can't test for it anymore because it only shows up in hour 7 of an 8-hour glucose tolerance test. And now doctors can only give a 3-hour glucose tolerance test, so it won't show. But the fastest way, in addition to writing an email and saying, hey, send me all the symptoms so I'll know, is to simply take your left hand, palm facing you, fingers together like this, and look at your index finger and your ring finger. If your index finger is the same length or longer than your ring finger, you've had hypoglycemia since birth.
Oh, come on.
Yep, serious heart attack. And so
if your index finger...
If this finger is longer or the same length or longer than this finger, you've had hypoglycemia since birth.
Okay. Mine are about the same, aren't they?
Yeah, this one's a little bit shorter, but yeah, you're probably borderline. So
hyperglycemia.
Hypoglycemia.
So you're telling me that
no, it's on the left hand only.
Oh, the left hand only.
Yeah, left hand only.
The length of your fingers tells whether you have it.
That's one of the body syndromes that we learned in school, and it's just a real quick way because you don't always have time to take like blood tests and stuff like that. But when I'm talking to a client, I can look at their hands just very nonchalantly. I can see exactly where it is, and so I'll know how to guide it through.
Okay, so I'm borderline?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what does that mean?
Means that you're going to get frustrated and have a lot of anxiety and frustration, a lot. But it also means that you probably, if you don't eat on a regular basis and have stuff, you probably start off by feeling like little butterflies in the stomach, a little tightness in the chest, respiration may pick up. Then if you still don't eat, you may notice mood swings or your hands begin to shake ever so much, and then you start getting tired and more tired until you just want to sleep, and that's about all you can do.
Well, I thought you were going to tell me with anxiety that it's all in our head.
It can be. It can be. But the first thing, if you were to walk into my office and say, this is what I'm suffering with, and the doctor's put me on this med for it, I'd go, okay, the first thing I would do is I would look and I would start asking you questions to see if you have...
look at the fingers and see
Yeah, I would. And even if the hand didn't tell that, I would still go through the symptoms of hypoglycemia and say, do you ever suffer from this, 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 this? Because doctors can't test for it, it's oftentimes misdiagnosed completely. Mm-hmm. And the bad thing is hypoglycemia left untreated and later on in years will always turn into type 2 diabetes.
Okay. How can we just reduce our irritation level?
That's a really good question. So let's first of all go with what anxiety is. Okay?
What is anxiety?
Anxiety is being in fight mode. There's something that psychologically I want to do battle with, but it's out of my control. I can't. So for example, you may have a boss or a manager or somebody like that that's making unreasonable demands for you and you really want to do something, but you can't. Because you do, you're going to lose your job and you need your job to pay your bills. So you're going to start going into anxiety, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, oftentimes that'll start off with minor irritation. A person does something little, we've all had that happen, where they'll like tap a desk or they have a nervous habit or something like that. But both of those are in fight mode. You want to do something, our society says you can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do you do with that? There's a couple of things that you can do that's really quick and easy. One is doing some deep breathing on your own, just sitting there at a table. The other one is doing some meditation or mindfulness, or you can sit down there and use self-hypnosis. And of course, as a hypnotherapist, that's what I always suggest, the self-hypnosis, because it works really, really well.
And what about frustration?
Frustration is one of those things that we move in and out of because it's momentary. So, for example, like you're driving a car and you need to get to St. Louis, and all of a sudden you hit really weird traffic or there's an accident or something like that. You get frustrated and you can feel that anger building up. That also is fight, but there's nothing that you can do about it. So a really good thing while you're sitting there or in that is to do the deep breathing and calming yourself down, because here's the really cool thing about doing deep breathing is when you're doing that and you're super oxygenated in your body, you can't get stressed out. It calms you down automatically. It's
So you're telling me that if you start doing deep breathing, and by deep breathing you mean...
Well, it doesn't have to be that much, but using all of your lungs. So you see your tummy and your chest rise and fall at the same time? Okay, you're taking in a lot more oxygen than what you're used to. Most of us either belly breathe or chest breathe.
So if you do deep breathing, you're saying you cannot get frustrated?
Your frustration level will drop, and if you're doing that all the time, you'll find that you don't get frustrated very often. I mean, you may have momentary things. We all do, because we go in and fight and flight all the time very, very quickly. But you're not going to have that problem.
I asked you something just as we were going on. I said, and high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, you can lower your high blood pressure with hypnosis?
Yeah, you can. And if you get really good at it, like I am, I'll tell you what I do when I go over to the VA. I'll go over and I have what's called white coat syndrome. In other words, anytime that I go into the hospital, technically speaking, you're supposed to go and they're supposed to let you sit for 20 minutes before they take your blood pressure. They never do. You sit maybe for a couple of minutes. So they'll always say, I need to test it again. And I go, just out of curiosity, what do you want my blood pressure at? And I go, oh, yeah, right. I go, no, really, what would you like my blood pressure at? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, give me just 1 minute. And I'll sit down there and calm myself, and it'll come out exactly what they want.
So how do you do that?
You have to practice it, and practice it a lot. But I use what's called self-hypnosis. I put myself into hypnosis, and I just calm myself down. And in my particular case, I visualize me being on a sailboat, because I love to sail. And I see me piloting that sailboat and going wherever it is that I want to go, and I just calm right down. But I can actually hear the waves. I can hear, the sounds of the water on the hull and everything. It's great.
And it does work.
It works every single time.
So you can take care of a lot of things just with your mind, can't you?
Your subconscious controls everything that you don't consciously think about. Everything in your body, your immune system, your diseases, everything is controlled by the subconscious mind. And you can fix a lot of stuff with that.
And if people want more information on this, it's a fascinating topic.
It's fun.
Fascinating. If they want more information, how can they get in touch with you?
The fastest way is go to our website. That's mohyp.com, www.mohyp.com. Or give us a call at 888-604-9997.
Okay, so we found out about anxiety, irritation, frustration, blood pressure, the whole
thing.
Dr. David Newman, it's always a pleasure having you here. Please come back again soon.
Absolutely.
All right, out of time for today. Tomorrow, Greenhouse Theater Project, and we're going to find out about Kitchens in Bloom. Our program directed by Travis McMillan, Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers, KBIA. Our floor director is Janie McKee, and our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Bye-bye.